Yo friends, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel and the studio here at Football Therapy, and welcome back to Chelsea News. I've completely jumbled this intro, but anyway, I hope you're well. I really do hope that. And yes, this is Chelsea News. Today we'll talk about David Ornstein's column, Mauricio Pochettino's wife, I was going to say wife reveal, which is definitely not the right thing to say. His wife has revealed he's in London negotiating the final elements of his Chelsea contract, and the Aubameyang controversy. So it's going to be interesting, and I'm really glad you've taken the time to go with me on this journey. Yeah, please do consider taking a fleeting moment to drop a like on the video, and consider subscribing if you want to. Only if you want to. Only if you want to. But should you choose to do so, you should hit the sweet, 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 sweet bell, baby. Let's address this Aubameyang video very quickly. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was filmed by a TikToker, some guy speaking French, parler de français, mon frère, and he's chatting to him, and he sort of said, look, and by the way, Aubameyang's sort of like, he's being friendly and nice. He's just sort of answering his questions. It seems like, relatively calm, calibrated, and smooth spirits. And the guy sort of said, what's going to happen in the summer? Are you going to go back to Barca? He's like, yeah, I'd like to go back to Barca, but we'll see. Boom. And suddenly controversy is rife in the air. I'm here to say, shut the ruddy heck up. And I'll tell you why. Because, of course, he's going in the summer, right? We need to get his presumably massive wages off the books. We need to get that slot free in the squad, in a massive squad that we need to trim down. And the dude came to Chelsea Football Club to play for Thomas Tuchel, who was like immediately canned. So his plans, he liked it at Barca. He was scoring goals at Barca. Barca liked him. Boy, he convinced him to come. It was like, yeah, let's get a striker. Aubameyang works. Tuchel's here. You love Tuchel. Tuchel loves you. Everything's great. And then obviously Tuchel left. And Potter didn't play him. Lampard didn't play him. Though both Potter and Lampard took time to say, yeah, he's a professional. He's got a great career. He's not causing a problem. He's being positive in the dressing room. Despite being dunked on this season by life. And as I say that with he's a Premier League footballer that gets paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. But you know what I mean? Like, he's in the really vulnerable dying embers of his career, and he was in a place where he was scoring goals. He was convinced to leave for Tuchel. It's gone horribly, and the season's horrible. Of course he's going to leave. And he's been a professional, and he's not caused a problem, and he's just trained and been nice and kept himself fit. Yes, he's going. And if you watch the video, he's like, yeah, Barca, but we'll see. That's it. So I'd like to douse cold water all over that, any form of agitation towards Auba, because just let the brother go. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fine, dude. All right, we are going to read Orni's column, certainly the Chelsea part. Mauricio Pochettino's wife have disclosed, I wonder who she has disclosed this to, that she is in London. Oh, on social media. I'm in London. That's what wives do, right? Ahead of the Argentines' move to Chelsea, or expected move to Chelsea. So she and her hubby are in London, and I mean, to be honest, this is a story that one would expected. If dude is going to become Chelsea manager, at some point he's going to be in London. But we know he's flown out to LA. Probably had talks in Europe as well, possibly, with the Chelsea hierarchy, the Chelsea ownership, Winstanley and Stewart, the footballing directors. But you know, it's getting real when he actually is in Londres, dans Londres, in London with his wife. And maybe his wife's just going on a shopping trip, but maybe it's a little bit more significant than that. Maybe it's like, where should we live? Where should we live while I manage Chelsea? Well, let's find out a little bit more about this story. Over to The Athletic. Ornstein says Chelsea manager hunt set to end this week. Hot dog. It's Monday, so a few days. Chelsea overcame, well, I said that like Monday, like the week's running out, but really the week's just started. Let's see what he's saying. Chelsea overcame Bournemouth. Yes, we did. We won a game. We scored goals. More than one. It was lovely. And we're safe. No relegation. I will celebrate anything I can get. So we did overcome Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium on Saturday to end a run of 9 games without victory. That wasn't all, Frank. And secure Frank Lampard's first win across interim manager. First win across 7 matches as interim manager. It provided a welcome reprieve for the West London club as an abject campaign draws to a close and focus turns on to rebuilding, the massive rebuilding job that will continue under a new permanent head coach. Just as like, in case you missed it, like, you know, the beginning of the episode when it flashes back like, previously on Chelsea Circus. The process will be to secure the full-time replacement for Graham Potter, and it's been taking place since April the 3rd, and the anticipation that it will be concluded this week. Lots of people have been like, why have I gone out of focus? I mean, I'm not out of focus, I'm in a studio. This has been, as they call it, an exhaustive process. I'll put my hat backwards, maybe that'll help. As in, like, the depth, okay. So it has taken a long time. I'm actually quite pleased about that they didn't just rush everything and go too early and be like, Poch! Because at least now they can be really convinced that this is the guy for them. As well as convinced as they can be. Or certainly the sporting directors can be, because after a comprehensive search led by both sporting directors, Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley, a final decision is set to be made in these days ahead, and the announcement will follow in due course. Essentially, as far as we know, as far as we can understand, it's going to be Pochettino from multiple sources, because who else is it going to be at this point, you know? Why am I losing focus? Hold on, guys, I'm sorry about this. Hopefully that helps. Lampard will stay in his post as Chelsea manager for the last 4 Premier League fixtures and will collaborate with Stewart, Winstanley, and the next boss ahead of that permanent role. So essentially, Lampard is talking to Winstanley and Stewart, and he will talk to essentially Pochettino, which is important. And this is something we've spoken about before, that Lampard confirmed in the post-match presser that he's essentially reporting back to Bowley and Igbali, and indeed, of course, Stewart and Winstanley, about what's going on in Chelsea, giving them the inside scoop of the dressing room, who is good, who is bad, who is a turd, who is a nice boy. And ultimately, these duties will continue to the end of the season, but hopefully sooner rather than later extend to Maurizio Pochettino, as well as the aforementioned owners and footballing sporting directors. So yes, the strong favourite is Pochettino. He's ready to take the position after 12 months away from PSG, which probably is the perfect amount of time. Compare that to Julian Nagelsmann, who has just been canned from the job of his dreams at Bayern München. Probably would think he's not ready to go. Do you know what I mean? He's not ready to go. It's the way that we play our song. How's it go? It's the way that we play our song. Very old. Yeah, man. So look, let's talk about this. I'm feeling positive. The longer it takes, fans are frustrated. But I'm feeling better about the longer it takes, because it means everything is being covered. Chelsea, the ownership, probably recognise now that they're in a more vulnerable position than they thought they would be when buying the club. For example, finishing outside European places, and probably actually for a very short amount of time having a fear that they might get relegated. Maybe a teeny fear, but a fear nonetheless. Fortunately, they put these clauses in the new player contracts where they get a third pay cut should they not qualify for the Champions League, which is not, it's a collective's fault, isn't it? But, they'll certainly, people will be annoyed about that. So they need to do it with managers as well. It turns out, I think Potter was very collaborative with his exit, which is good. Potter, I think by the end, he wanted to stay and have the support of the owners, which he did for a long time, but by the end, Potter looked a little bit lost, didn't he? So I think he was collaborative with the exit. But these more charismatic like managers, like your Joses, your Contes, might be a little bit more difficult to get out should things go wrong. Please see Antonio Conte's second and final season at Chelsea when he sued the club. So there is that. And this is where you defend yourself in the negotiations early doors, to make sure that should things go wrong, if they're underperforming, that, you can have an amicable payoff, and you don't, even if you do give them a 5-year deal, you don't have to pay out all the wages for that as well. And I imagine, just like the player contracts, there's probably loads of incentivized structures in the contract for the manager. Like, if you do this, you get paid this. If you do that, you get paid that. But similarly, from the side of the manager, Mauricio Pochettino, there are loads in multiple reports that this guy is saying, yeah, I'm really excited. I've said it on the channel. You can understand why he's excited. It's a great opportunity for him, an amazing young squad. The only way is up kind of vibe, because we're going to finish probably like 10th at best. So, do you know what I mean? So like, there's those good sides, but there's also apparently reports suggesting that he's making certain demands that, a big one is you got to trim down the squad, but they've apparently gone, yes, we are going to trim down the squad. Don't you worry, my friend, the squad shall be trimmed. But there's probably other ones. I read somewhere that he's looking to put cameras up around the training ground, apparently to Tottenham, to keep an eye on the players, to really, really, make sure the routes, like, no Schneidi stuff going on. If you're in this together, you're coming to work. Screw it. I've seen this lot throw it in ages ago and play crap. Make it a militant base camp. Make them play out of fear again. I wanted the arm round the shoulder, the therapeutic approach of Graham Potter, the loving, nurturing, compassionate, warm feeling cultivating approach, because, football has changed. But that led us to, terrible, terrible dark places. Make it scary. Have fun. Achieve glory. But make sure I don't misbehave, all right? Train hard. Like, Lampard has come in and been like, yeah, they're all really unfit. Do you know what I mean? Like, the fitness levels aren't good enough. Period. And, of course, the drive, the motivation isn't good enough. All that stuff. So make it a bit of a military camp, but also you have these like previous Tottenham players that are saying he does like to be part of the family. Like, there's a story that we spoke about here on the channel where he had a big barbecue, invited all the staff of Tottenham, all their families, and he was the guy on the barbecue. So he can be that like fun uncle character, but at the same time, you need to know you're going to have your ass kicked if things go badly. Like, we need a bit of that, and we haven't got that. So fingers crossed he could bring that. And hopefully his wife can have a nice time and she could be choosing where to live as we speak, as they're in London. So yeah, let me know how you think about that, about the negotiations of Poch, your general feelings about Poch moving forwards, his collaboration with Lampard, how they were structured together to the end of the season, things that you think needs to happen, that doesn't need to happen. Feel free to mention and comment on Auba, but I've hopefully very structurally and soundly stated this scenario there. And if anyone's got the arse with that, then you need to go take a walk, my dear sweet friends. Thanks for supporting the content as always. I will upload as soon as some news breaks, so turn that bell on when you subscribe. And thanks, for liking the video and subscribing, etc., etc. I look forward to seeing you, my friend, back here very soon.